Hey, how you doing? Today I want to go ahead and do another tutorial today. I want this tutorial to be about trying to learn how to program your own video game. So I thought what I'd do is I introduce you to Scratch, and using Scratch show you how to make like a really simple, like basic video game. If y'all might remember a game from the old days called Pong. That's like one of the first home video games, one of the first arcade games to come out. It's pretty much just you with a paddle and a ball and trying to use the paddle to stop the ball. It's a really easy, fun game to make, and today I'm going to show you how to make it in Scratch. All right, so let's get started. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Scratch, what Scratch is, it's a programming environment that was created by MIT Lab. So if you just put in Scratch and MIT, you should be able to find it in Google pretty easily. Here it is right here. Up here, you will be asked to start an account. You don't have to start an account, but if you want to be able to save any work that you do want to start an account, and then it'll just keep everything saved from the cloud. All right, that means that no matter where you are, whether you're at school or whether you're at home, if you start on a game, you can start on it at school and finish it at home and vice versa. It's really great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to create in order to make my first game. One thing I am going to do real quick though is I'm going to move myself to the top of the screen, and the reason I'm doing that is because I know that it could be really hard to see what's going on if I'm sitting in the way down here at the bottom. So I've moved myself to the top of the screen, and let me just make sure it's taking place in all the windows, right? Yep, it's fine. Okay, so here I am, sort of out the way, okay? First thing I like to do is I always like to name my games. That's what I'm going to name. Pong CC. I might give it a different name depending on the theme I pick. All right, and just to give you a quick idea of how it works. Over here we have different types of blocks. Each type of block that looks sound, events, control, and each type of block, what it does is it gives you a different type of or different class of commands that you can give to the computer. Okay, so they're all color coded. All right, these over here are the actual blocks that go in under each category. These are the blocks that we're going to use to put them together to program. So if you think about Legos and how Legos work, you just stack different shapes of Legos together and get different types of constructs. Same thing works with these blocks here in our system. All right, over here in the middle we actually have our programming environment. So we're going to actually take blocks, we're going to pull them over here, and based on what we put over here, this is what happened over here in what we call our instant development or interactive development environment, IDE, right? And when we click on here, everything that we program in this area right here is going to be, we're going to be able to see over here once we actuate it. Down here is where we have all of our items, or I like to call them sprites, and sprites are the actual things that are in the game that we program and move around. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go ahead, I want to create a very simple Pong game and do that. And so we know that if you want to play Pong, first of all, you don't play with a cat, you usually play with a ball. And so let's start with a ball. I'm going to delete this cat, and then I'm going to go down here to where this little cat picture is, and then what I can do is I can actually browse or choose a sprite from all the ones they have here on display. Okay, under my this animals, people, under me you got fantasy, dance, music, sports, food, fashion, so forth and so on. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's pick a ball. This is a really simple ball right here. Okay, this ball is an item. Any particular item has what they call costumes. That means these are different looks for the ball. So you see the ball has different colors that can change, and we could probably incorporate that into our game. And each item has a different sound. This one here has a bong sound. We could play it. And it also has a pop sound. And we could probably use that in our game to add some sound effects. Okay. So I have this ball sitting here, and right now this ball has no instructions, so it doesn't know what to do. So what I want to do is I want to program this ball to move when I say move. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this thing over here, First of all, I have to give it an event. I have to say that when I do something, I want you to do something. So right here, the event is going to be when I click the green flag. You see up here, I have a green flag, all right? So now my command is when I click the green flag, when green flag is clicked, that's what this says. And then I want to say under motion, move 10 steps. Now that doesn't tell it how far to move, it really tells it how fast to move, all right? And you'll notice as I change this number, it controls the speed. Okay, so if I hit the green flag, it moves 10 steps. If I change this number to 50, you'll see it goes a little further, right? But what I want to do is I want to keep this at 10. And when I say when I click the green flag, move 10 steps forever. Go down here to control and pick forever. I'm going to slide this blue right in the middle like a sandwich and then click this together. Boom. Now I'm saying when I click the green flag, move 10 steps forever. And watch what happens. It moves. And it doesn't stop moving. It just moves in one direction. It doesn't do anything really fun or game-like. All right. So what I wanted to do is that when it hits the edge of the ball or the edge of the game board, I want it to bounce back, right? So what I can do is I can go up here where it says motion, and then I can have a little block on here that says that if on the edge, bounce. And so now what happens is that when it hits the edge, it bounces back. Okay. And do you see how it keeps flipping up and down, how the lighting on the ball flips up and down? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't want the lighting to flip up and down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it now. And then I'm going to go over here to where I can control directions. And under where it says direction, I'm going to turn off this flippy button. I'm just going to say be sure to go left and right. As a matter of fact, let's not do any flipping at all. Just keep it like that, okay? Now when I hit it, there's no flipping. It just bounces, okay? If on the edge, it just bounces back and forth, okay? Now what I'm going to do in order to go ahead and make it not just bounce in one direction back and forth, because of course in order for it to be fun, it has to sort of just bounce around the room. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to the direction, and I'm going to change the direction, and I'm going to make it like move it to like a 45 degree. I'm just going to eyeball it. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. Now when I hit it, boom. Now it bounces around the screen, okay? Pretty nice, right? Okay. Now that I've got that done, let's go ahead and add some other elements of my game. All right. So now that I've got a ball, I would love to have a paddle. So what I want to do is I want to create a paddle. Now right here again, I have something that I could pick. See if I can pick a good paddle off of here. Something that makes a great gaming paddle. This is a button. I can search it. I can just really just type in paddle if I wanted to. See if they have one here for me already. If they don't, I can always make one from scratch. Oh, here we go, paddle. Boom, very easy. If I wanted to, I could make one from scratch. Just to show you, I can go in here, instead of using this, I can hit paint. And I can just go ahead and paint my own custom paddle and make it look the way I want. So I'm going to pick, let's say, that as a square. And I could pick my own color. Let's say I want my paddle to be, I don't know, blue. Okay, that's the color paddle I want. And I don't want this to be an outline. I want this to be total fill. All right. And then I can draw my paddle. See this little middle thing? You sure want to put it over here because that's going to be the middle of your object. But that's my paddle. I do want to make it a little smaller. I don't want it to be so huge. Want to line it up right there. Boom. That's my paddle. So I have two different paddles I can use. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick with the one that I drew. Simply because, you know, I like using my own stuff. All right. So now make sure that you have the paddle selected. Matter of fact, I'm going to name it paddle instead of sprite one. Paddle. Okay. Now it's a paddle. I have it selected. It's down here. I moved it around about to where I want it to be. Okay. But again, the cat paddle has no code. It doesn't know what to do. So what I want to do is I want to say that again, when I click the green flag, back to control forever. That means we're going to keep doing it continuously, right? Forever. I wanted to go ahead and follow my mouse. And there's a little option on here that says, it actually has a follow my mouse. And so it says set X, okay? Set X, and set X means it sets the X axis. Now, if anybody's ever studied math or algebra or geometry, you'll know that you have two axes. You have the X axis that goes this way, and you have the Y axis that goes this way, okay? We're just setting the X axis because we want our paddle to go left to right, okay, like this, right? And so the way we're going to do that is we're going to have the set X here, but you see it says set X to 6. If we go to sensing, sensing allows our sprites to understand what other things are. It gives them like senses, like we have 5 senses, right? And I want this block, this blue set X to 6 block, I want it to go ahead and know where the mouse is at all times. So what I'm going to do is I want to say set X to mouse X, and then I'm going to fit it right in here. Boom. All right. So now when I hit the green flag, what's going to happen is that wherever my mouse is on the X-axis, that's where the paddle's going to be. So let's hit the green flag and see how it works. Oh, look at that. Now our paddle is following our mouse, but you'll also notice that the ball just goes through the paddle. The ball totally ignores the paddle. It doesn't bounce off the way it should. It just goes right through the paddle, and that is not what we want. Right, so I'm going to stop the game, and now I want to make it so that when the ball hits the paddle, it does something. So I want to go back to the ball, and I'm going to say I'm going to tell it to change direction, right? To turn 45 degrees. So when it hits the paddle, it turns 45 degrees. But let's hold off on that. First of all, we have to make sure that the ball sees the paddle. Now remember, under sensing, I says that I can go ahead and make it so that if the ball is touching the paddle, it does something. So I'm saying control if then, all right? And this is a very important thing in programming, the if then statement. It says, if this thing happens, then I want something else to happen. In this case, if touching, it says mouse pointer, but I want it to be paddle. If touching paddle, then turn 45 degrees. And I'm going to put that in here and see if that actually does a job. If not, I might have to take it back out, okay? Let's see. Boom. Oh, there it is. It bounced off. Does it hit the same 45 degrees? Nice. So now I can bounce the ball off my paddle, okay? And also remember those sounds? Let's go ahead and add a sound. If the ball is touching the paddle, just don't turn 45 degrees. I want it to also simultaneously, first of all, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to duplicate this. Okay. Put this back in here. Right. And then I'm going to say events when the green flag is clicked. If the ball is touching the paddle, I already put 45 degrees. I already got that part in there, but I want to go to sound. Remember those sounds we saw earlier, like the popping and the boing sound? I wanted to go ahead and make a pop sound. So let's try that, see if that works. Let me turn my music off so you can make sure you can hear it. Let's see if this works. I heard nothing. I hear nothing at all. Let's try the boing sound. Oh. Interesting. Oh, I know. Let's try this. Let's put this forever in here. See if that fixes it. Now. That's weird. Okay, it's a little glitchy, but it works. I might want to figure out why that glitch is happening. Let's take the forever out and try it again. And nothing. Maybe we should put in yeah, forever if then. There it is. All right, great. There we are. All right, let's turn back on our music. Okay, so we got that part. So now we have sound effects. We have like the actual ball and the paddle interacting with each other. Wonderful, wonderful. Now what I want to do is I want to create a point system. Okay, so I want to make it so that every time the ball hits the paddle, I get a point. Really easy, right? I mean, that's like how you win video games in a lot of cases. You get a point. So let's just go ahead and let's learn how to do a point. Okay, so let's say I don't know how to do this. I know how to do this, but you know, it's important that you know how to use your resources and not just wait on somebody to tell you how to do something, that you go and you can learn how to do different things, right? So I want to learn how to add points. So I'm going to type in score. I'm sorry, I didn't show what I did. All right, first I went to the tutorials up here, and the tutorials will usually show you how to do certain things in the game. Like if you wanted to make this Pong game, if you type in Pong, it will actually show you the Pong game tutorial. If you want to do scoreboard, nope, there's no score. Pong, it has it in there. It's going to show me how to do the whole Pong game, so I'll tell you what I'll do. What I'll do is I'll just Google create a scoreboard in Scratch. Right, so here's a video that will show me how to do it. Scratch has a little tutorial in here on how to create a scoreboard, really easy, right? Interesting. Okay, so I see how to do that. So let me go ahead and try and do this in my own game. All right, so I'm going to go to variables. I'm going to make a variable. I'm going to call it score. Okay, I have it up there. Okay, and now that I have a variable called score, I'm going to say that when the paddle comes in touch, I want to play the bong sound, but I also wanted to duplicate this. I'll just duplicate this whole thing. And instead of it playing the bong sound, I'm going to actually tell it to change my variable by 1. Okay? Now let's try that. It's not doing it. Oh, no wonder, because it's not a variable. The name of it is score. Duh. Change score. Like I said, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. That's why you should never get embarrassed and like freak out. And there, oh wow, that was just 7, 1 hit. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create a more radical, a more acute bounce. I'm going to say change this to 25% so that the ball is not in contact with the paddle as long. Let's try that and see how it works. It's still kind of, wow, it sort of bounced around the ball. So I'm definitely going to have to work that bug out earlier because right now I have a score of 77. And I also want to make sure that when I start the game that I always start the game at 0, right? So let's go back here to events. When the green flag is click, go down to variables, set score to 0. So now when the game restarts, it always restarts at 0. There I am up at 13 points. 24 points. When I stop it though and then restart it, you're back to 0. Okay, that way my score is not carrying over. Okay, so that works. We need to go ahead and fine tune some of the touching part here, some of the game mechanics over here, I guess you would say. I might even look at making this its own set of programs also. Let's try that. That might fix that problem. Let's try it now. And one thing you got to really pay attention is that the computer's going to do whatever you tell it to do. And it's making this sound, but it's also not. Okay, maybe I should make this number larger. Let's say 75 degrees. Ooh. It's still just going right through my paddle. So I broke my paddle. Let's turn it back to 45 degrees. And again, experimenting is good. Still nothing, huh? Oh, I need to put the forever in there. That's why. There we go. Okay, so we've got that. I'm just curious what happens if we try it at 180 degrees. Oh, that's much better. Only problem now is that it's kind of hitting the same area. But now we're getting like 1 score per hit though. So we can fix that. Okay, so that's great. Now what I want to do is I have a scoring system. I have the points. I have the game. Let's do a final thing of just adding some difficulty to the game. First of all, let's put a backdrop in here. See where it says stage? We'll go ahead. We can pick a backdrop. Now they already have a bunch of backdrops for us to pick. You know, some ready-made backdrops. This is the one they always like to use in the tutorial. I don't know. I like space games, so let's try this one right here. The moon. All right. And now let's try the game. All right. And I think I might change this 180 degrees to 75 degrees. Nah. We definitely want this to be greater than 90 degrees. 125. Let's see where that takes us. That's better. I just don't want it hitting the same place every time. Oh, that was weird. Now, there's a thing in physics that says that whatever angle it hits at is the angle it should reflect from. I would love to work that into my game, and I could probably do that in other iterations of it. Okay, so now I've got actual little game here, right? Remember that other paddle that I made and I didn't want to do anything with it? Wouldn't it be fun if we can go ahead and make this a 2-player game? We'd have to set up another scoreboard, add some controls to that, but right now I have a very basic game. Okay, a really basic, fun Pong game that I can play with. It has a few bugs in it. I could show you how to sit down and work out those bugs, but the thing about working out bugs is you have to have a lot of patience. You go to try something, it didn't work, and as you guys saw with what I was doing here, I tried something, it didn't work, and I tried something else, it didn't work, and I tried something else, that don't work, so forth and so on. Worked a little better, but maybe I want to tweak it a little bit. All these things are things that you can press around and play with inside of your code, and I want you all to have the freedom to do that. I want you all to have the confidence to do that. Making video games can be a very rewarding thing. You can take the video games that you make and you can turn them into apps and other things like that. On this particular platform, you can share them other places. But just to show you how easy it is to make your own video game, you could do that. What I do want to show you is I want to show you how the very first time I tried to make my Pong video game, I did the basic tutorial, like the basic video game, and then I went a little further. And just again, in case you didn't catch it the first time, if you go up here to tutorials, it will show you how to do a bunch of different things, right? One of the things I want to start learning how to do is I want to learn how to use the video sensor where you can actually make this interact with your webcam. And so as you do things in the webcam, then the game will interact with whatever happens in the picture on your webcam. So it's like a AR game or alternate reality game you can create, okay? But go through the tutorials and learn how to do different things. You become really good at coding in a very short period of time. Most of my students usually surpass me in Scratch within their first week of using it at the school. So what I want to show you is I want to show you what I did my very first time doing Scratch. These are all the projects that I've done with students, but here is my zombie first-person shooter game that I made using Scratch. It has music, so I'm warning you now. But Morgan's brain. Okay, it says Morgan's brain, so I had the student named Morgan. And I thought she'd get a kick if I put her name in it, and she did get a kick out of it. But I just made it so that whenever I put the crosshairs on one of the zombies, I'm not even sure if you can hear me. When I put crosshairs in the zombies, then their heads explode in, you know, blood. You know, I was really working with 4th graders here, and I want to make it too graphic. But it explodes in blood. And it really uses a lot of the same mechanic instead of making a paddle. Let me go ahead and just mute this for a second. So just so you know, so what I did was, since I knew that I would be using, it's the same video game mechanic, but instead of the paddle, I made an arm. So I just took a circle and a trapezoid, and I put them together with a little rectangle, and that was an arm with a gun in it. Of course, I made the little crosshair that follows, it has the same code as the it has the same code as the paddle, except also gave it told it to move on the Y axis also. So it follows the X and the Y axis. And then the zombie heads are really just modified balls that instead of having a ball, I drew a little zombie head and it bounces around the same way. And the only thing I didn't do was put a score up here for every time I shoot a zombie head, I don't get a score. And if I wanted to complicate the game, I could have made the zombie heads move faster every time I hit them, okay? So that's just me sharing with you how to make your own game. It's a really fun thing to do. It's something that I inspire you to try and do yourself, to get on Scratch. The account is free. You could do Scratch on your Chromebook, on your computer, on your Mac, even on your cell phone, on your tablet. It's a really easy thing to get involved with, and not to mention you can look at other people's video games and you can borrow code from their video games and use it in your own video games, or use somebody else's program and remix it with your own elements. And it's really easy to do. It's really fun. I hope you have fun doing it, and I'll talk to you later.